Oh, welcome to Conversations with Dr. Harriet and our special guest, Pastor Charles P. Roberson. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, Dr. Harriet. How are you doing?
I am so wonderful, and I just
Amen.
appreciate you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us right here on Conversations with Dr. Harriet on the Power Network. So, for
Yes,
those few people who may not know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
absolutely. Well, I am from Savannah, Georgia. Savannah is a beautiful city. I love living here. And I am married to Yolanda Roberson, and Yolanda and I together lead a wonderful congregation here in Savannah called Kingdom Life Christian Fellowship. I'm also a dad. I have a 24-year-old. I have a 17-year-old. Dad is my favorite title among all the other titles. And I also have a business called Synergy Services. I focus on consulting along with my son, and he focuses on technology. And we do a lot of cool things to help people. But I'm from Savannah. Uh, I'm really focused on developing our congregation and pastoring Kingdom Life. It is an amazing ministry. Things are really happening for us, and really excited about being with you today and excited about the show.
Well, thank you. Now I have to share. Everybody, I'm sure, looking at the same name,
Right.
Roberson. Yes, we are related. We are cousins, and but I just want to make sure that everybody look at our ticker and get all the information. Go to his website. He's an amazing conference speaker. I mean, he even turned out our family reunion one year.
Yeah,
We had church at the reunion
we
just from
sure
the
did.
keynote speaker. So
We sure did.
so an amazing conference speaker, amazing pastor. So make sure you reach out to him as well. And even with the businesses, make sure to reach out and touch with the business. And I know you have a book as well. Tell us about your book.
Dude, I have a book. I'm really excited about it. My book is called Priorities, and I'm very excited about it. In 2020, when the pandemic first started, I did a lot of things. One of the things my wife and I did, we really amped up our physical training and exercise. And as we would walk every day, I started getting these thoughts, and I said, I got to write this book. So I started writing about priorities, and I'm going to tell you why. I decided to write about priorities because I feel like the pandemic was the time when a lot of people found out that they didn't have their proper priorities. There are a lot of things that people were focused on that are not that important, and a lot of things that are very important that we were not focusing on. So I came up with this wonderful idea. The Lord just kind of led me into this, and I wrote this book on priorities. And it's blessed a lot of people. It's touched a lot of lives. And I'm so thankful to present this book to the world because there are some things in life that are very important. And I kind of wrap it up by saying your priorities is the proper organization of people, places, and things in your life. You get
Oh,
people in the right places, you get things organized right, and make sure you have everything lined up, and your life is going to be blessed.
that's so good. I love that. And how can people get your book as well?
They can just go to my website. The book's everywhere. It's Barnes and Noble, it's Amazon, but you can go to my website, prioritizeandpivot.com, and it's all things priority there. You can go there. You can see testimonies. You can watch some of the videos of the book signings, and you can get see all things priorities on that website, prioritizeandpivot.com.
That is so wonderful. And again, asking people if you're in Savannah area, make sure to visit the church. You can watch them online. I actually watched Bible study the other night online, and it was such a blessing to me. So you have so much to offer. We're so proud of you, a cousin.
Right. That's right.
Okay, well, it is Awareness Month right now as we're taping, and but the show is actually airing for June
Mhm.
for Men's Month. And I wanted to highlight a month just for men, all things men,
That's
because
awesome.
I know that a lot of men go through things just like yourself. I mean, you're a pastor and a mentor and a businessman. You do a lot in the community. You're a husband, you're a dad, and
Right.
you just do so much. But you still have to take the trash out, right?
That's right. That's right.
So it's all a balance. You got to balance everything. How do you do that? Let's start off with that before we go into our topic. How do you balance everything you do and don't become overwhelmed with it?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I do it by what I talked about earlier. I do it by making sure that I'm intentional about establishing my priorities. I found out in my own life that a lot of things that I was giving a lot of time to, they just aren't that important. And a lot of things that I was not giving time to are very important. So what I think I've done is I've tried to create what I call a rhythm for life. a rhythm for my life. I've tried to make sure I focus on good time management. I've tried to make sure that I always prioritize my faith and my personal relationship with the Lord, and to make sure that things that are really important. And honestly, for me, Harriet, the most important thing as a man is God first, and then my family's next. I haven't gotten lost with all of that. There are a lot of other things under that, but for me, it's still God first. And when I say family, my wife, Yolanda, she has to be next. You know, I have to love her like Christ loved the church. She's right next, even before myself. And then it's my kids and everything else. And I just try to make sure every day I have a rhythm. So this may help someone. I feel like you need days to work, you need days to worship, you need days to rest. So I have work days, I have worship days, and I have work days. And my family, we believe in having fun. We believe in working hard and playing hard, and we love to play. So we have a lot of fun, and it kind of keeps us balanced, and it kind of keeps my days balanced.
Oh, that is so true. I love the fact that you said you and your wife have fun. I always laugh at my dad. I think he was maybe in his 60s before I ever saw him in sneakers. He was, church guy and Christ pastor, and he didn't wear sneakers. I mean, but they didn't do a whole lot. Other vacation was the convention. So what does that say?
Exactly. And I
But
think,
I love that, and I love that your wife is a priority as well.
absolutely. And I
Yes.
think, Harriet, I think because my dad, as well as you know, was a church deacon all of his life, and I probably rarely saw him as speakers as well. And I think they gave us a great foundation. But I think it's our responsibility to take that foundation and to build upon it and to present the kingdom and present our faith in a balanced way. That there's so many scriptures in the Bible about laughter and having fun and having the abundant life. I think we have to present it in a way where you can be serious about your faith and your work, but also have fun and enjoy life and experience the world as well. I think it's important for us to have that balance.
That's true. I love that. And I think that that's what happens is, a lot of, especially leaders, they become overwhelmed because they don't have that balance. And you wonder why, your wife is ready to move on when, she's not laughing with you. She's not having it enjoying you. So
Right?
encouraging the fellas, get it together, kind of start prioritizing, saying no,
Absolutely.
to some things that aren't
Absolutely.
needed. And move forward. Yes. So our topic today is a man, his mind, and his money. The
Yeah.
three M's. I love it. So talk
Yeah.
about where that topic came from.
Well, I spend so much time with men and different groups of men. You know, I have all demographics in the church, and then I'm very active in the community. So I spend a lot of time with men. I neglected to say I'm also a police chaplain. I'm responsible for 600 police officers, and a
Wow.
large amount of those officers are men. So what I found out in working with men is that men are very quiet. Most of them, men don't like to talk. Men don't like to open up. And I was recently in a session and we started talking about a man and his mind. How do men think? Expressing those thoughts, talking about those thoughts. What makes you feel good? What makes you feel bad? And we start talking about a man and his money. And I just found out those three M's was a real powerful thing because most men are thinking about money.
All right.
Most men are not always willing to talk about what's going on in their mind. So if you can get a man to open up about those things, I think that he can be a lot healthier. And the 3M kind of came from a lot of my conversations with men over the years.
Okay. So let's split it up. Let's go ahead and break that on down and split that up and talk about that for a few seconds.
I'm concerned, Harriet, about men in their mind. I'll start with the mind. I'm concerned about men in their mind. I'm concerned about times of pressure and anxiety and stress and even depression for men. And that we've been taught, most of us in African American households, we were taught what happens in the house stays in the house.
Right.
We were not taught to express our feelings. I've certainly shifted that with my children. I've always told them, I want you to express your feelings, tell me what you're thinking, let's come up with a great decision together. But I wasn't raised that way.
You're right.
I was raised in a household, basically, kids are to be seen and not heard. So
Right.
you don't grow up learning how to express yourself. So a lot of times there are things that are going on inside of a man, inside of his mind, and it's almost like a pipe. It's going to burst because he needs a release. He needs to talk about it. He needs to talk through it. He needs to be able to verbalize how he feels. But in so many cases, because men have not been taught how to do it, it's not a part of their household culture. It's not a part of their family culture. So men just don't talk. And they wind up having a breakdown that possibly could have been prevented. So I'm very concerned about it. And I'll tell you like this, even as a Christian, I'm concerned that we are spiritualizing something that a professional needs to help us with.
Wow.
Simply because, and I've taught the men and others in our church this, if a person falls down and they break their arm, we'll pray for them, yes, but we'll also get them to a doctor because they need a cast. But when the mind is broken, you can't see the broken bone. You don't know an injury is there. So there's a tendency to ignore it. I think we need to do the
That's
same
good.
thing for a broken mind that we have for
Yes.
a broken arm. And if we don't just pray for the broken arm, then we can't just pray for the broken mind. We need to help men to be led down this pathway to know that there's freedom for them, but sometimes that freedom is outside of them and they need someone to help.
That is so good. And I love that you said that. And, in church, growing up in the church, we know that, counseling was taboo.
Right,
I heard even they were saying it was demonic and,
right,
but going to the doctor to get surgery is not demonic.
right,
Our mind getting help with our mind is, but
right.
not getting help with our body. So I don't know who came up with all these
Right.
these descriptions on what is demonic, but it is so needed. And nowadays, I meet a lot of pastors who are saying that they are personally doing counseling themselves because who do you go to?
Absolutely.
As a pastor, you can't go off on your deacons, you can't go off on your church mother, and hopefully you're not going off on your wife. And so, who do you talk to when you become overwhelmed and depressed, and you can't share it with your church members? I'm
Right.
depressed. I'm overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking about
Absolutely.
taking my life because this is too much.
Absolutely.
So again, encouraging our pastors, it's okay. Encouraging our leaders, even leaders in the business area, in the marketplace.
Exactly.
Again, get the help that you need, and it's okay.
Right. And it's amazing you mentioned pastors because I really believe that every pastor, I'm not saying every pastor needs a therapist, but I think every pastor needs an outlet and every pastor needs that person to talk to. It's a biblical model. You see it in Paul and Timothy, and you have so many other models where there's a mentor and there's a mentee, and there's always someone that's there as a resource guide, someone that's there to help you go through it. I have several people that I talk to. Number one, I have a mentor, and then I have colleagues, and then I have friends. And I separated it, Harriet, because I think for a pastor, especially for the young pastor that's watching, every conversation is not for church members.
All right.
Sometimes there are things happening in the pastor's life or in the pastor's home or a pastor's marriage or a pastor's finances. And that conversation needs to be reserved for someone who is mentoring that pastor, maybe for someone to the senior of the pastor who can help walk him through it. And then there are other conversations for your brothers and for church members and others. But I think it's important that pastors have that alignment and they have someone they can talk to. I believe strongly in mentoring. I really do. I believe
Mhm.
everyone needs mentors, methods, and models that they don't currently have. So I believe everybody should have someone they can talk to, and that's in seasons of celebration. And that's in seasons of suffering. If you're having a celebration season, talking to that mentor, it keeps you balanced. If you're having a suffering season, somebody can come alongside and say, listen, you're not the first one that's been through this, but let's talk about it. Let's open up because I'm telling you, if you don't talk to somebody, it is going to come out somewhere. And in most cases, it will come out at the wrong time, which is probably behind a microphone or across the pulpit.
Wow, that's so good. And just even encouraging our younger men, even
Yes.
the young adults and you may not be as close to your dad, but
Right.
find someone to talk to in every area of your life. Is that not correct?
Absolutely. And young men, I'm surrounded by millennial age men. It seems like I'm surrounded by them and also middle aged men. And I think they all need it, particularly millennials, because uh, We live in America. Things are tough. Things are not always easy. We have a lot of social pressures and a lot of social problems, and sometimes things are just happening. You can be newly married. You can be a man trying to navigate life, a man trying to navigate corporate America for the first time, and it's tough. And you need someone to talk to, and this pressure can really just build up. So I absolutely agree that it's important to talk to someone, and regardless of your age. But I think we need to teach it early,
Right.
even young elementary age young men. We need to talk to them. Okay, sit down, tell me how you feel, express yourself. I think that's so important. Men need to be taught how to use the power of their voice. In so many situations, ladies are always used to talking, using their
We have
voice,
no
speaking to
trouble.
power. No, not at all. But then
We have no trouble telling you how we feel, right?
we're kind of sitting in the corner with a remote control in our hand, and I think that's a dangerous thing. Not to get into the man woman issue here, but I think there's something to be said in Genesis about the fall with Eve, about the silence of Adam, the fact that the serpent is talking to Eve, and I'm not saying she's enjoying it, but she's certainly holding the conversation. And
Right.
the question becomes, where's the man? Where's the voice of Adam? Where's the speaking voice of Adam speaking to the wife, maybe speaking something contrary to what the serpent is speaking? So I think there's something to be said about when men are silent, a lot of things can take place that men should be speaking to. And there's a scripture that goes along with this, and it simply says, "And while men slept, the enemies came in and they sowed tares among the
Wow.
wheat." A quiet man and a sleeping man is an open door to the enemy.
Wow, that is so good. And even before we move on to the next segment, what is something that we need to look out for? So, as a wife, as a coworker, as a sister to, who has a brother or who has a dad or whatever, what are some of the signs that she needs to be looking for that something's just not right and, he may need a little help and he's
I,
not asking for it?
yeah, I think first of all, most men are creatures of habit. And I think when you see a man just totally change his routine, and this is the best example I can give. A man that's always home at 5:05 every single day, and he's done it for 20 years. And that man is showing up home at 6:30, 6:45. Something's going on. You watch patterns, you kind of know the pattern. And when you see that
Mhm.
pattern off, you will know there's something going on. And that the other signs, which are really signs of depression, it can be quietness. It can be a man not wanting to share a meal. It can be a man not wanting to socially engage. I think these are all signs that you have to watch. And these signs really are indicators that there's something going on inside of that man's life.
Okay. And just to suggest maybe just to talk to someone and, to start off easy. I know we don't, a man doesn't want us to jump in their face with, hey, you need to see a counselor.
Right.
So maybe start them off with maybe a friend,
Yeah,
speak to somebody that they're close to and have them have a conversation with them and maybe they'll open up to them as well. So wives, we have to be wives, sisters, moms or sons, whatever. We have to be
yeah,
careful in even how we handle it on our end because
absolutely.
we don't want them to be defensive and
Yeah,
not get any help. So we have to use wisdom, and then we may even need help and talk to someone on how to approach that person. So
absolutely.
um,
And
it
I
all makes
think
a difference.
you're right. I think one of the things wives should do, honestly, is pray that their husbands will have a friend before they need a friend. Because
Mm,
I think it's very difficult to wait until the man really needs to talk to somebody and all of a sudden you try to force this relationship. I think it has to be organic. I think if it's
right.
already a relationship, it's already somebody he's used to talking to, I think that's a great thing. There's this saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I think if that
Mhm.
man already, if he's already identified somebody in his life who knows this person cares about him, I think it's more likely he'll be comfortable opening up to that person. And the wife can really pray that, her husband will have that friend or her son will have the right friend. I certainly pray for my son and my daughter, our dad, or the brother-in-law, that he'd have that right person in his life. So if that time does come, that person will already be there and it's somebody he can reach out to.
That is so good. So pray for relationships,
Pray
you
for
know. And even I like when you talked about our young sons, how we have to start early with them. I know even with things like with education, I know that if you don't reach a child by the time they're, I think it's like third grade, you've
right,
lost them.
right,
So most boys are excited about school, especially African American boys, and they're excited about school. Most of the time they're smarter than the girls
right,
early on, and
right.
but what happens is they're not excited because they're focusing on behavior, and they're focusing, you have teachers that are talking down to the boys instead of
Absolutely,
lifting them up. And so we
absolutely,
have to know as early on to start encouraging those kids, and building that confidence in them even before, not to allow a teacher to or anyone else to bring your kid down. So I think that's part of it, that we have to help instill that confidence, and then to let them know it's okay to show your emotions.
right,
It's okay to cry. We don't want you in public crying all the time, but it's
right,
okay. You
right,
can come to mom anytime. You can come to dad anytime. It's safe. It's a safe place for
right,
you to open up, to let us know how you're feeling. And a lot of kids don't have that,
right.
and that all that whatever happens in the house stays in the house, like you said.
Exactly.
A lot of
Right.
kids don't have that extra, so we have to know that even, if our kids are already grown, start helping some young people, helping grandkids, helping other ones see this, and it's our responsibility. I know, gosh, our time is ticking. Okay, so let's talk. We talked about a man, we talked about his mind, let's talk about his money.
Yes, yes. We have to talk about a man and his money because the very way men are wired. You go back to Adam and you look at the first man, and it's interesting. This you're gonna laugh at this, but God kind of gives Adam a job before He gives him a woman. So that whole idea of a man being successful in business. Adam was, of course, tilling the ground, but the whole idea of being successful and just being able to do something productive in your life and creating a financial door, financial opportunity is what men are created to do. And I believe probably the number one stressor for men is probably money or lack thereof of money. You were talking earlier about young men and why so many young men have problems. Well, I believe that you talked about third grade. I believe there's some things that we do that are systemic, that really target young men, and we have to be careful of doing it, and it kind of stunts their growth. One of the things in my area that we're often told is that if a young man or young boy is not reading at grade level when he's in third grade, then he's in what's called the prison pipeline. And one of the things that broke my heart several years ago, I
Wow.
want to say about 10 years ago, our county built a new jail. It was the largest jail, largest capital improvement project ever in our county. It was $100 million. And I'll never forget, I was there at the grand opening when the sheriff stood up and he said these exact words. He says, "Now we'll have a place for our young third grade boys."
Wow.
And basically,
Wow.
people who
Unbelievable.
people who study this industry, they understand that if that young man is not tracking by third grade, and he's not reading at third grade level, they don't expect him to graduate, and they think he's in the prison pipeline. So they're building all these extra beds for them. But I think money is important, and we have to talk about economics and financial opportunity and teach young men and older men too how to really to do things to be productive in life and to make money and to finish their education and to do things because that's a pressure on men. We were just created as providers, and providing is important to a man. And nothing is more frustrating than when a man cannot provide. And I believe that a lot of men who are good men who really want to provide, but they just need a little help and they need a little direction. So I think we have to open the conversation up and talk about a man and his money, not keep it secret.
That's so good. Absolutely. And then even, I think that even with the church, it's the church's responsibility to help assist, having financial classes, showing them a lot of things about even insurance. We don't even know
Right.
a lot of things about insurance. As a pastor,
Absolutely.
a lot of people aren't getting insurance, and then here comes a funeral, and it's like everybody with the GoFundMe and church. What can you do?
Right.
Instead of teaching that early on that you need insurance, you need the savings account, you need to work on your retirement, and but a lot of it isn't taught, of course, in schools to our boys,
Right.
not to get that our boys.
Right.
And
That's right.
so,
That's right.
but we have to step up. We do
We
on
do. We
our end.
do. We
Yeah.
do. And Harriet, this ignorance is a very expensive. Ignorance is costly. It's expensive, and we have to speak to it. And even that, we're afraid to even use words like that, ignorance. But that's what it is. A lot of times we don't know, and I think there are times when we need to pull back away from social media. We need to pull back from TV and all the other things we're doing, and we really need to have these conversations in the family and talk about financial plans and talk about wills and talk about establishing a trust. Talk about what kind of will you need to have for your family and talk about investments. And, I know my kids have learned this and the children around me have learned this. If you're going to buy Nikes, we're going to buy, okay, one pair of shoes, one stock. If we're going to buy Amazon, well, it may not be to buy Amazon stock, but I've really tried to push it as a culture with the young men around me because it's so important to have this financial training. And as a pastor, I don't want to make the mistake of telling people to tithe, 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 give, 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 and not teaching them how to save, 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 steward, 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 plan, 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 strategize, strategize, strategize. I think the conversation cannot be one dimensional. It has to be multidimensional. And like you said, we've got to have all of these conversations about a man and his money.
That's good. So a man, his mind, and his money. This is so good. Will you come back again? Our time is gone.
My
But will
time.
you come back? And you have a series that you taught at your church that I cannot wait. I was hoping we could touch on it,
Right.
but on
We'll get to
PMS. So we're gonna save that one, and we're gonna definitely bring you back again really soon. And we're going to talk about. Thank you again so much. I appreciate you making sure everybody goes to your websites, to all your social media sites, like your pages, invite you to speak at events, and again, I just speak blessings over your life. So we have about a minute. Can you encourage our listeners?
Certainly, I'd like to take a minute and tell somebody whatever you do, don't give up. You will not be defined by your failures. Everybody fails, everybody falls down, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody has a perfect life. Wherever you are, whatever you've been through, whatever you're dealing with, don't give up. Get up, keep trying, keep pressing, and I'm telling you, eventually, destiny will happen. I believe destiny is simply when opportunity and preparation meet up, and that will happen in your life. Jeremiah 29:11, God says the plans that He has for you are good and not evil, to give you hope and a future and an expected end. So you stay the course, you keep pressing, you never give up, you never quit, and something good will happen in your life.
That is so good. And we just wanted to again encourage you to get help.
Yeah,
If you need help, it's okay.
absolutely.
Don't listen to anyone else. When if they tell you
Get
that
help.
you're okay, that you don't need help, and you know that you need help, then do that and never ever give up. I love that. Never give
Keep
up.
going.
And
That's right.
suicide is not an option.
Nope, that's not an option.
Not an option.
Definitely not an option.
Okay. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you. It's been great.
Charles E. Roberson Sr. I just appreciate you so much. And I know that you have such a busy schedule, and I just appreciate you coming here to our show. So thank you again. And remember, today only happens once, so make it amazing. Thank you all. We'll see you next time. God bless.
Bye.
Thank you, cousin. I appreciate you. Looking forward to coming to your church in August with your
Yes.
marriage ministry.
Yes.
So
It's going to be
God
great.
bless you.
So we're going to get all those pieces connected, and hopefully you guys have a great weekend here. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, looking forward to it. We'll share that with our audience as well during that time. Thank you all. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye bye.